Okay, so we're on. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Good. Have you had a tiring day?
A little bit.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
I just think life with lots of things to do and lots of little people, it's like waves.
Yeah.
There's like moments where it's total chaos and busy, and then it kind of mellows out and it's good. You just kind of ride the waves.
Yeah.
But sometimes, like at the end of being in the ocean all day long, you're like, oh, I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm tired.
That's pretty much every day.
Yeah, which is good.
We sleep well.
We do. Yeah.
Deep sleep.
Yeah. Did you have a good day?
It's a great day.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't go into everything right now because of NDAs and stuff, but I got to do some recording at a very cool place with some very cool people that will be released in the near future. So it was very fun. Very, very good day.
Way to not say anything, but
You can't. I can't. I'm under contract. I scared the baby. So one of the things that we've been bouncing around lately in conversation, we talk about this amongst ourselves, just us, is something that is so obvious to talk about, but we haven't on this podcast before, I don't think. And I don't really see a lot of people talking about this particular issue really anywhere else, and that is phone usage and how much we are all, as a society, completely addicted and use the phone at such crazy levels that, we're all aware of it, right? I think we're all self-aware that we look at our phones and scroll and look and are constantly bombarded with our own thinking of, I need to check this, I need to check that. And sometimes we do need to check things. And I definitely need to check things. I have work things. Lots of people have work from their phones and stuff like that. But wow, like it is. So it'd be interesting to talk about how society's changed, what we see as a result of these changes, and perhaps maybe some tips or some things that has helped us over the years when we know we've done too much screen time, when we know it's like, okay, we need to cut back a little bit, whatever. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think one thing that you're very mindful of, which I think is good, is like, it's here, it's among us. There's no turning back. I mean, there are people who will do like a dumb phone, or, they'll get a flip phone that only does calling, but there's a level of practicality that doesn't always work for everyone.
Yeah.
And I think there's a measure of, this is technology that's here and it's not going anywhere. If anything, it's just like increasing. So we can learn to be good stewards of it and apply self-discipline, which is helpful. But yeah, we're human, and there are like teams of people behind every app and every aspect of our phones to keep us engaged on them.
Right.
So like it is a matter of self-discipline, but there's also like other things at work to keep our attention on these devices.
Yeah. Trying to go back and be a Luddite is just, I think, a vain attempt at doing something that we don't need to do. We don't need to give up the phone itself entirely. I know there are people that do that. I know there are people that are like, they do the flip phone, like you said, and whatever. But yeah, we can find ways to make the most of time and make the most of it. And that being said, we all waste time on the phones. But it's really crazy. I was looking up some statistics before, and it says that I was actually asking Grok, like, what is the average usage of the phone on a daily basis? So it broke it down globally. Do you know what it is?
No, like how much time?
How much time, how many hours a day globally?
Oh, you already gave a hint then. It's hours.
Yes.
The average amount of time.
On a given day, how many hours do you think globally people look at their phones and are using their phones?
Okay.
They can be for anything. It can be...
To clarify.
Yeah.
The average of all people, or like all people across the globe?
Okay. Average globally.
This is one person.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. My question was real.
Okay. I see that now. That's good.
3 hours.
4. A little over 4 hours a day. Wow. That's globally. Okay, now, how many
America, we
how
have
many,
to be worse.
How many? Yes, America is worse. So how
Okay.
many hours in America do you think on average we spend?
4 is the average. I know
Yes.
America. 5 hours?
Did you cheat? Did you see my
No,
numbers?
no, I didn't see it.
Yes, it's a little over 5 hours.
I mean, anything over
Yeah.
that would be like, oh,
Yeah.
really?
So the other thing that's interesting too is then there's a breakdown for Gen Z, like teenagers, young adults. They're even more time. They're well over 6 hours a day
Wow.
on the phone with
On the phone.
scrolling, looking, TikToking, Facebooking,
Dang, that's a lot of
emailing, talking out. Yeah. Can you imagine? So like we're products of the late 80s and early 90s. Growing up for us, the phone itself was used to call your friends,
Yeah.
call your grandparents,
Yeah.
call pizza, call looking up movie times.
Call waiting was a big cool thing.
Yeah.
That you could have one conversation and somebody else could call you and you could still receive that at the same time. Like,
But if it wasn't
there was a singleness to
Right.
phones.
Right. But if it wasn't your job and you weren't a call representative type of person, a telemarketer or something, if I had said, hey, someday in the near future, most people are going to be on their phones between 4 and 6 hours a day. And you're going to be on a phone, but you're not even going to be really just talking to people. That's the other funny thing is that the phone's usage originally was to call and talk to people. I don't use it for that very much.
Yeah.
You don't use it for
No,
that
I
very much either.
don't. I
Texting, we
Yeah.
don't. Communication has changed in the world.
Yeah, it has. It has.
What would you have thought?
I would have thought, why? Why would you be on that
Yeah.
that long? It would have sounded like that's too much.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have understood it though either. I mean, it's just like you said, it's a different world. And there's part of me that I know you can't be a Luddite, nor would I want to be, but there's a part of me that laments some of the simpleness
Sure.
of life and the less distraction.
Yeah.
Just because a lot of what's on our phones is distraction. There's useful things, but there's a lot of just distracting you from the moment. We lived through that shift of like all your friends are the people that you like see face to face, and all your interactions are a phone call, but they're like real conversations. You could send a letter, and eventually an email, but like it was a lot more personal. We lived through the shift of like what it means to be a friend, like even means something different. Are you Facebook friends?
Yeah.
Like that was a whole new, that wasn't a thing before there was the invention of social media and, Facebook. So I don't know. You can connect with a lot more people, but they're not as deep or as real of connections.
Right.
Or just even the having a constant thing that's a distraction or that could pull your attention, or the access to all the things in one place. It's convenient, but then it's also like you always think you have to check something, or you can think of any question and you can ask AI and they can give you an answer. Like,
Which is nice.
it is
These are good. I know that so like there's a negative side to it, which is it pulls our attention away. But my gosh, I mean, I drove to downtown St. Louis today. Do you know how hard it would have been for me to have found where I needed to go without GPS?
Very hard.
I'm highly grateful that we live in such a progressive, the only time I've said that, technological world that really allows us to be able to find anywhere, and you start from any point.
Yeah.
And you don't have to use the archaic maps that like our parents did, which are just a lot harder to read.
Yeah.
And a lot harder to go through, and it's a lot more. It's so much simpler to find things. There's far more convenience with the technology.
It saves you time. Yeah, for sure. It also saves you having multiple resources, and it's compact. It's one thing. You're not having to carry a map and a camera and all these other things. Like it's so many things in one.
But it does change the social setting completely. Like even today at the place that I was at, these various actors that I was with, including myself, we would talk for a minute and then there would be a lull, and then everybody would be, swiping and talking and just on their phone.
Yeah.
Just, there's all of a sudden it was like, hey, but the world changed so much because growing up it wasn't like you couldn't escape from reality so easy. Yeah. But now, this was one thing I was going to mention too, escaping from reality. It's so odd to me that when you get on a phone, do you notice it has this sort of hypnosis effect? You notice it with me. If I'm on the phone and you just wait. You're just waiting for me. Okay, I'll finish my sentence when you put the phone down. Because there really is a real hypnotic effect to the phone.
Yeah.
That as soon as you look at it, you can't concentrate anymore on the external world. Like everything is siphoned off and you're in a different place. I don't know what kind of weird voodoo technology they placed inside the phone or what exactly it is, but there's something to it. It's very odd to me.
Yeah, it's harder to pull your attention away than like if you were reading a book.
Right. If I was, yes.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying like a book doesn't have that same like hypnotic, like you can get in a zone and you're reading.
There's a hypnotic effect. And I also find, and this was true of almost all of our kids, you could literally put the shiniest ball or piece of candy nearby or something like that. But if the phone is on the couch, a little black device, they go for it.
Yeah.
And they don't even really know, like when they're 1, 2 years old, whatever, 3 sometimes, like they don't really know what it is. And we don't give our kids their 2 or 3 phone, but they gravitate towards it.
Right.
And again, it's just one of these weird elements that I've wondered about now. Like, why this
What do you mean?
ugly
What do you think there is
little
to
black device?
It's got buttons.
Know.
They like buttons.
I don't know.
And then it lights up. And there's
But when it's just not lit up, I'm just saying, like all of our kids, especially the younger ones, they've gravitated towards it, even when it was just a black screen.
Yeah.
And I find that very odd. I just think there is something to it that we are. I don't know. That I go down some conspiracy theory holes, rabbit trail thingies that I don't. They're not fleshed out in my mind, but I do actually wonder if there's some kind of mechanism and pull that we have that is generated from the phone to our eyes, to our brains, to something, because it's even working its way into the youngest of us. And that's bizarre to me. It's also really weird to be at a stoplight, and if you don't pull out your phone and you just decide to look around at the world for, 5 seconds, how much everybody else is just, they're doing this on their phone. Like they can't even when they're behind the wheel, and it's illegal.
Yeah.
I don't do that. Everybody's.
We've taken
It's
up
bizarre
as a society, filling every lull or dull moment, or if you're in a doctor's office waiting room, everybody has their phone out. Like any moment you might be bored, you just
whip it out. You just whip it out,
with the phone.
And that's not a good habit, because that will, and I'm I'm guilty of it, but I know it's not a good habit, because it takes away from the moments of potential. Something could come out of this. You could literally meet somebody new.
Yeah.
Or there's another thing that could happen.
Have a conversation.
Or your mind goes to a different place. So you allow yourself to be, and we can talk about the book Bored and Brilliant that we read years ago.
Yeah.
But it allows us to be bored for a second, which is not bad.
Right.
And allows us then to create the new thoughts come into your mind. You're, oh, you know what? I want to do this, or I want to create this. I want to do this in my work or my job today. But if we just are constantly filling the bored moments with screen time, those thoughts don't happen naturally when the phone is in your face.
Yeah, when something's entertaining you. Yeah, actually, from the book you just alluded to, Bored and Brilliant, I have not read it in years, but one of the things that has stuck with me was mind wandering. That's like what she calls it. It's when you're bored and you just don't have anything to entertain you, you're not listening to audio, you don't have a phone in front of you, your mind wanders and it kind of free associates, and you think one thing and then you're thinking about another thing, and then you're like 20 thoughts down. Just, it's mind wandering, whatever your mind just kind of goes to. And that is actually this really, really cool and creative time, and you make connections even in your own mind that you otherwise would not have made.
Yeah.
So to let your brain just kind of wander around in your own thoughts, like not in a weird way, because it sounds kind of weird the way I'm saying it, but it's a really good thing to do, and we don't often give ourselves the time to do that. And it's a valuable thing for your imagination, for ideas, for really anything creative. Not like you have to be that kind of a creative person, but like all of us are creative in a way. So yeah, to let your mind just think, just go through. You have to be bored. You have to have nothing to stimulate you externally to get to a place where you're mind wandering.
Right. The thing, you do have to do that. Was that the biggest takeaway that you had from that book? Because I think that was the one thing we have talked about now over the years is mind wandering and how that's a good thing. Like, instead of picking up my phone for an hour, I'm actually going to let my mind just sort of drift. Yeah. And then it goes into places that are like, oh, wow, I'm happy that I did that because then I thought this, or then this came to me, or.
Yeah. That was probably, it's the main thing I can remember. I'm due to read that book again. I remember some of her tips though too because she does give a few tips, but that was like, our comprehension has been totally altered because of our smartphone uses.
TikTok, I'm sure, has made that so much worse.
Yeah, attention span, but even like actually our capacity for language and reading language has shifted with the advent of the smartphone. So which obviously one thing you can do is read real books, or you can read on your device. I don't think that shortens it, but
actually
the formatting, the way that we've shortened things, it's all the things on your phone are attention grabbing and quick, and the long form is kind of lost.
They've done studies on reading retention with physical books and that of digital books, and they say that physical books show higher levels of retention than that of digital, which I can I tried to read on my phone. I tried to read on an iPad, books. I'm like, oh, this is so cool. The book is here. I'll just go ahead and read it. But being able to then recall certain details and certain things, I'm like, wow, I was looking at the page, but I didn't really get it in me. And they've done studies on that before. And
is that because you can't be like, it was in a paragraph on the left page, halfway down, like, because that kind of the reference is lost.
The page where I got the potato chip stain on it, that page.
Yeah, that page.
And then it's like, there it is, and then it's locked in your mind. Like, I could find that page. Yeah. I don't know. But again, I do think there is something to looking at the screen, because even if you look at a screen, so apart from even the phone, they say that retention, even with TV, movies, things of that nature, these are just images, from a digital device, be it the phone or some other kind of screen, and it just doesn't, if you will, implant into the brain the same way a physical object like a physical book does.
Yeah, even my experience listening to audiobooks, I enjoy listening to them, even if it's story.
Sure.
And I can, still have like mental images of what the story looks like, but I will not remember that book nearly as well as if I've read it. And I think part of that's also because when you read it, most of us don't have like 15 hours to just like continuously sit there and read.
Yeah.
So you're breaking it up into smaller chunks and you're thinking more about what you've read. You're going through it more slowly than if somebody's just reading it to you.
Yeah.
But it probably also has to do with seeing the words.
Yeah.
My retention's way better.
Sure.
When I actually read a book.
Sure. One of the things that we also say is it's so weird that we are not ever going to see a society where you walk into a room and you really have everyone's complete attention, be it family members, a party,
even in public.
Public anywhere. I mean, anywhere publicly, you will never have a room's full attention. I think that's pretty much unanimous. Almost with the exception of church. I have noticed church people during the time that church is actually on, people don't whip out their phones.
Even after.
Even after at our church, which is cool. It feels like it's like the last stand of actual world. Wow, people are just being people.
Yeah.
And they're not looking for the nearest excuse to distract themselves.
Yeah.
But man, I mean, you go anywhere else, even including in our own home.
Well, yeah, listen, if your phone does like a ding, Can you mentally let that go? Or do you need to go see what that is?
I think it's like an addiction. It's like a side. What do they call that? When somebody has to have like.
Like a fidget.
Yeah. That's what I'm going.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what it's called.
I don't
Like a tick. It's like a tick.
It's like a tick.
That's like a tick.
Okay. Yeah, I think as soon as
Not the bug, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like an itch.
Yes. Do you ever get the whole thing that where you think your phone vibrates in your pocket, but it didn't?
I don't really ever put my phone in my pocket, but I have. Not even kidding. Before, like, if I'm in a hurry and I'm checking things and I have like a notebook, I've like tapped on my notebook.
Yeah.
To just like make sure I haven't missed anything. And I'm like, oh, it doesn't tap. You know, like where I'll just tap my phone and it'll show me like the preview of if I've missed something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've tapped surfaces that are not my phone. And I'm like, oh gosh, that's weird.
Yeah. It's weird to see a movie and if a movie's dated enough, like just even 15 years old, you're like, whoa, they didn't have smartphones. Yeah. So all they had was a quick little flip thing or, Nextel or maybe a Razor or something. And it just, it limits a certain way of communication in the movie. Or I should say, it really allows a different form of communication in the movie. Because then people aren't just texting and, looking up on social media, even within a movie.
Yeah.
It's very interesting how it has dated cinema or anything you're watching from 15 years old and older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I can still remember a time that life was like that. Yeah. So I also think it's easy when we're watching a movie that there's not technology to just like be immersed and not think about it.
Yeah.
I do wonder for the newer generation that's growing up with the technology doesn't know a time where there wasn't.
Yeah.
If they think about that, if that's like, oh, that's not real. Where's everyone's phone? Or where's everyone's advanced technology?
Right.
I wonder if they notice that.
Well, it's very odd. I mean, we have a 4-year-old that can take pictures.
Yeah.
Can swipe, can do all this stuff. And I had a grandpa who retired in the 80s because they brought a computer into work. Yeah. And it was super low tech, everything. And he was like, okay, I think I'm going to retire instead of learning this new technology. But he never emailed. He never got on any internet. He never touched a computer. Mm-hmm. Like, never touched it. And it's just weird how that was just a couple of generations ago.
Yeah.
And yet now the newer up-and-coming generation, give them a phone at 2, 3, 4 years old, and they kind of know how to operate it.
Yeah.
They kind of know what to do.
Yeah.
And, yeah. I don't think it's necessarily bad.
Well, no, I don't think it's bad. Like you've even said, I mean, the information that we have access to because of technology and even specifically our phones or computer really, like, is unheard of. Yeah. I mean, if you want to learn how to do just about anything,
exactly,
you can find answers. You can find other people's experience. You don't have to have a library of 1,000 books to have an immense amount of knowledge. Like, this one little device can connect you to the world's knowledge that's been recorded. Yeah. Like, it's so, there is a measure of a blessing that a phone is. It provides a lot of convenience. There's a lot of stuff you can schedule. You can order your groceries from your phone if you want. Like, there are totally advantages.
Yeah.
But with that comes the side effect of you have to manage it and not let it manage you.
Right. We have to use good self-government and self-control.
Some tips that have helped us.
Yeah.
I like to leave my phone in a different room, certain parts of the day, or sometimes on the weekend, like a whole day, just leave it so I don't think about it.
Yeah.
I like to turn my volume off. I almost always have my volume off.
Yeah. So
it's less of a distraction. What are things you like to do?
I like to watch you do all that. I like when you yell at me about having.
As a general rule, we try not to ever have phones at the dinner table.
That's a big one. Yeah.
Except for setting like music.
Except for maybe music or something of that nature. But yeah, phones at the dinner table, no. Try to keep it away in that regard. Sunday, especially, more of a family atmosphere kind of day. try to look at it a lot less. I think, like you said, it's a good idea. Even to put it just on the charger out of your pocket, or in my case, in my pocket, somewhere a little bit further away from you, like you suggested. That's a really good tip. That's a good insight for sure. Yeah, those are mine.
Yeah. And if there are times like you might be bored and normally you'd take your phone with you, like to just not, or to take a book instead, or to just be more consciously aware of letting yourself.
Yeah, but I don't think anyone in the world at this point anymore is going to go anywhere without their phone with them.
Oh,
Are you
not
saying
getting
like,
it out? Like if I have, when I go to the doctor or whatever,
okay.
I'll leave it in my purse or my bag.
I see.
And I
see.
Bring a physical book.
Because people are going to wear their clothes and they're going to have their phone on them.
Yeah.
And
if you don't have your phone and there's an emergency, what would you do?
Never will the twine be undone away from one another ever again, because people are naked without their phones. They just are.
True.
They are.
True.
Yeah. Okay.